Welcome to this Business Central Launch Edition 2025 Release Wave 2 session on purchasing analytics. According to a recent IDC study, when they asked SMB customers, both in the small and medium segment, about things that have impacted their business the last 12 months, 31% of customers stated that supply chain disruptions have impacted their business. So we thought that might be a good place where we wanted to improve analytics to make sure that you can at least analyze risks to supply chain and maybe plan ahead. So with the updated Power BI app for purchasing, we are trying to help you as a procurement manager to forecast future procurement needs, analyze your supplier quality, we'll come back to what that means, and also dive into supply chain risk. Some examples here could be simple single item suppliers, Pareto analysis of suppliers, like what's your supplier composition when you think about what you buy. I'll come back to that. And for instance, geography. And also for the Power BI app, a new page where you can use AI to analyze your purchasing data. Apart from the visual part, we are also open sourcing everything, all the code for the Power BI app for purchasing. So let's dive into Power BI and see a number of different ways you can analyze your risk within your supply chain. The first place where you can look into risk is directly on the front page of the Purchasing Power BI app, the Purchases Overview. Here we have an updated purchase quantity by location, where all the purchase documents are present. So posted purchase invoices, but also return orders. And this is shown across different warehouses. So imagine that you have a lot of return orders in a particular location. That means that something is going on in that warehouse that you need to return so many goods. So that could be a sign of like a qualities issue with the way they handle things in the warehouse. Or it could be that the particular vendors delivering to the West warehouse have suboptimal quality of the things you buy. Another analysis where you can maybe dive deeper into this is your purchases by item. This is an updated report in this app as well, and it has two new visuals. One is this one where you can see like a flow of your purchases by fiscal year and by item category. And you could maybe use this to get an overall idea of trends. We'll come back to more about that in the forecasting section. Another thing is down here where you can see kind of by item category, and you can filter this down to a particular item or a list of items. You can see how much do we purchase in local currency compared to how many we buy. And that will give you kind of an idea of your, let's say, financial exposure, and maybe also with the quantity part, maybe your like inventory exposure if you have a lot of items or a lot of money bound or in a particular type of item. Next is the purchases by vendor. This one got two new visuals. The first one here is what's called a Pareto analysis. So down here I have a slicer where I can say in this particular 80%. So 80% of the value I buy across all vendors is supplied by vendor 1, 2, and 3. That means that my risk exposure is might be quite high, because if any one of these 3 vendors have issues, I might have issues, right? So that is a way to see your exposure across vendors on risk. If they can't deliver, if they if there is, I don't know, maybe geographical risk. Let's say that we had an issue like last year where there was some problems in the Suez Canal, where a cargo ship was kind of blocking that. So by seeing the purchase amounts by vendor, I could easily get that world map, and maybe if there's a crisis, I can kind of see from where in the world my vendors are located, especially if you have a lot of different vendors. Maybe you can immediately see a pattern here on this visual on the map. Okay, next is purchases by purchaser. So now we are talking about the actual procurement agents or officers. You can see here Lena, Jim, Benjamin, blank is, we don't have that data. But you could imagine that either this visual or the purchase value by purchaser, this completely new report to this page. Here you see purchase quantity and amount. So for instance, I can see that blank, let's say that this was Jim, that Jim is kind of maybe there's a single purchaser risk in this company because we have some people working in procurement and then we have Jim. So what happens if either Jim is committing fraud or maybe Jim has like too big of a load in the purchasing department, and if Jim is going on vacation or I don't know, is run over by a truck, what happens? Like in this case, maybe you should spread the risk across multiple people working in procurement. So that's also a way to look at risk. Okay, what else? Purchases by location. So this is vendor location again, but also here you see your risk exposure to different warehouses. Let's say that you have maybe it's fine, but maybe a disproportionate amount of purchasing going to one warehouse. Maybe it's fine, but maybe that warehouse is now a bottleneck for your operations. And you can do that across all purchases, but again, of course, you can filter this to a particular group of things or items or a vendor as well. So everything that you can filter on in the report is then showing you the risk by that particular dimension. Another new report, purchase returns overview. I mean, it's nice that like now we have a new report showing some overview of a type of document, okay? Completeness, but this is actually a place where you can also identify risk, because this is the kind of the whatever you buy and return and for whatever reason is risk, right? You can see whether you, with the return reason codes of damages or defects or warranty, you can look into the quality of whatever you are buying and maybe look at, I don't know, defects, and then defects you can find out both. In this case, it's actually Fabricam Incorporated that is the sole kind of source of defects. Okay, so maybe there's a quality issue with Fabricam, and especially with the item 10,002. So both that, but also you can also see kind of your financial exposure to return reasons. What's the credit amount by this in this particular case? Even though you have defects, the defects are amounting to $1,000, right? So maybe it's fine. But what if you had credit amount out there for like $1 million? That's basically something maybe you paid for. It doesn't work. You need to return it, but you still have that the credit part. The vendor owes you that. So there's also like financial risk to the quality. So quality is both risk against your customers, but also financial risk of things that your vendors owe you. For completeness, we did create our new report here as well for purchase quote overview. Maybe this the example I could think of when I saw this could be that maybe you had like a fraud risk. What if you had Helena having like 10 times as many purchase quotes as their peers? Maybe there's something Helena is doing that is, maybe it's fine, Helena is doing most of the work, but maybe there's also some patterns there where abnormal quote behavior by a single purchasing person. The next report, also new, is a symmetry for what we did for sales last semester. These are key purchase influencers. In the spring, we did key sales influencers. This is a AI-driven report. Actually, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times 2. This is 20 reports in one, in a sense. For each types of documents, we can ask the question, what influences the document number to be a posted purchase receipt? And then you get some AI insights. This is just statistics. It's just dividing the domain of these entries for this particular type of document. Either when something happens, then you have a whatever 4.8 time higher likelihood of that. And then there's also a segmentation part of this that states that when spend reliance is less than 1%, whatever it is, like maybe my demo data is horrible here, but you have two different AI-generated reports, the things that are influencing something to happen, and a segmentation of the space. And that is, so these are two reports times the different 10 different documents is potentially 20 different reports in this one. Then let me just do the purchase forecast, the last one. Vendor quality analysis is also related to risk. So this is a new report. This is also one of my favorite new reports in the release. Here you have the single supplier risk on different items. So number of vendors out here, the things you buy up here, and then each type of item category up here. So for instance, here I can see that within my miscellaneous category, I have 3 vendors that can supply the Atlanta whiteboard. Fine. If I do that, I can kind of zoom into those and I can see my exposure. But imagine that this was, and this is, by the way, one of the things where we buy 272,000 currencies of that, right? So there's a big bubble here. So imagine a world where this was not 3 vendors, but the big bubbles were actually in the 1 category here. Those with only 1 vendor mean that you have to make sure that that particular 1 vendor can supply, can deliver, right? And that means any items, any things on this axis here is at risk if that 1 vendor have a problem. It could be that they have a problem in their supply chain, like towards their suppliers, or it could be a logistics problem. It doesn't really matter. If that vendor cannot deliver, you have a problem for all the products on that line. Yeah, and then the final part of this demo is the forecasting on purchases. This is forecasting on just amounts, but of course here you want to likely to forecast either. I mean, here I can forecast what is likely to be bought by Lena, or I can forecast what is the financial, what money do we need to set aside to buy furniture, or anything you can, again, filter to. As with the other, if you have seen some of the other Power BI sessions in this launch edition, the forecasting here is classical data mining or machine learning. It is AI, but it is old school AI. It's a statistical model that just uses the window of transactions from the past here to predict the future. And we have chosen, I think, 3 months of the future to be predicted. we have chosen to show upper or lower bounds. And we have probably taken a choice of the seasonality of these purchases. If you are in a business with like buying Christmas ornaments, then you are in a different seasonality than a business that is like a supermarket or whatever it is, right? So supermarkets have seasonality, but the things that are bought like every day, every week, every month is different than a business that sells on a quarterly or yearly basis where you have peaks in your. So you can change those seasonality settings and everything related to the forecast visual here by editing the report and kind of change the parameters to fit your need. That's something that you need to do. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to show you from Power BI. A lot of insights related to risk. You still need to kind of make changes based on this. So BI cannot help you with that. But hopefully a lot of the things from the IDC review with that supply chain risk is a real thing. You now have some tools to at least know where you are exposed, and then you can proactively plan so that your exposure is reduced. So I know that it was a lot to consume. We have 4 new report pages, 4 updated pages in the purchasing app. Purchasing app was the one thing that got the most love in this release wave in analytics. So when you go and update or install the app, go look for these changes and then think about some of these scenarios I talked about and see how you can help your business reduce your risk. If you want to learn more, there's a Power BI landing page for purchasing analytics. And that landing page you can reach to from aka.ms/BC purchasing analytics. In there, I showed in the screenshot here a navigation directly to the Power BI part where all our investments for this release wave came in. And you can read all about different personas, different scenarios, and a report like documentation article for each page in the Power BI app. That's it for purchasing analytics in this video, but just stay tuned. If you don't know our LinkedIn channel, we definitely want to invite you in on aka.ms/BC LinkedIn. This is a LinkedIn profile from the product group of Business Central. You should follow that to get weekly news updates on things around the product. And you're watching this on YouTube. This is hosted on our YouTube channel, aka.ms/BC YouTube. Not only do we talk about what's new here, but we also have Copilot and AI videos, tips and tricks, technical deep dives, and even Under the Hood, which is a series of like videos that are coming prior to a release, even before features really get to the release plan, kind of what's coming. So you should definitely bookmark the YouTube channel. For partners, the aka.ms/BC all AKA link is gathering every AKA resources that you probably need to know. So go check that out or bookmark it. And if you are a Business Central, if you are a Microsoft partner for Business Central and not on our Yammer network yet, you're missing out on a lot of interesting and fun discussions and important discussions and questions. So aka.ms/BC Yammer, go there and make sure that you are part of the network. Because if you're not, your other partners out there is just have an advantage. Finally, both for customers and for partners, our office hours happen typically once a month. 45 to 60 minutes presentations and discussions on all things Business Central going forward, like new initiatives, whatever. That AKA link, aka.ms/BC office hours, is giving you the schedule for the next ones. So we hope to see you in the upcoming office hours, whether you are a customer or a partner. And with that, this is it. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that you go and make your procurement department much more data-driven with a new Power BI app. Thank you.